Okay, anything that has mass, occupies space, and can be filled by our senses is known as matter. We are studying the chapter matter in our surroundings. Now, the first question that arises is what is matter? Now, the answer is anything that has mass, occupies space, and can be felt by our senses is known as matter. Now, the question arises, you see, the air that you see, the water, the soil, okay, the plants, even the humans, the dogs, and all other animals okay, your bag, your pencil, okay, a dust particle, the food you eat, everything is matter. Basically, something which has mass and occupies space is matter. Now, question arises, what is mass? Mass is the total internal content of the body. Mass is the total internal content of the body. Okay. Remember, matter is made up of particles, and lots of particles are there inside the matter. The particles together constitute the matter. Particles means the particles can be either atoms or molecules. Okay, small particles are there. We will go into the details of understanding of atoms and molecules in the next chapter, but remember, there are particles. Okay, now all these particles together, the sum of the particles or the total internal content of the body, entire total internal content of the body is known as the mass. Everything, whether it is an irregular shaped object, it is a stone, it is a dust particle, it is a sugar cube or a sugar particle, it is some salt, or it is some other substance like you and me or human beings or dogs or animals, everything is made up of particles. Even the cells that you have studied in biology, the cells that are there, they are also matter, okay, because they have mass and they occupy space. So mass means this. Now, what is the meaning of space? What is the meaning of having space? Meaning of having space is having a particular volume. Suppose you take a block of wood. Okay, the block of wood has a particular volume. Okay, you cannot enter inside the block of wood. Are you getting my point? But if you take a glass made up of steel or glass or whatever it is, okay, you will tell that, sir, the inside of the glass is empty and I can pour water inside it. That is true. Water is a different matter, glass is a different matter, but the glass itself is a hollow substance, not a solid substance, but it has volume. Now, you may be confused thinking that glass's volume can be seen inside and it is hollow, but the log of wood, its volume cannot be seen, but actually the entire volume is filled up with the particles of the wood only. Here the entire volume is not filled up with the particles of the wood, but you can fill it up with the particles of the water. But however, the steel empty glass that you have taken, the steel that it is made up of, it has some volume and occupies space. Okay, so something which occupies space and has mass, something or anything which occupies space, everything occupies space. Okay, water occupies space, air occupies space, human beings occupy space, dog occupies space, reptiles occupy space, dust particles occupy space, this pen occupies space, this copy occupies space. Everything which occupies space is known as matter. If you want to tell me example of something which is not matter, if I ask you how happy you are today, you cannot say that is matter. Happiness is not a matter because neither it occupies space nor it has a mass. Okay, so it is an emotion. So I hope that you understand. Okay, space, the antariksh mein, where the solar system is there, the open space, that is not matter. Open space that is there, neither air particles is there, neither it is openly vacuum, isn't it or not? That is not matter. But anything which is constituted of particles will constitute a mass and will occupy a space due to these particles and is known as a matter. Many people ask me, is air a matter? Then I answered them, yes, of course, air is a matter. How can you prove air is a matter? I will prove by a balloon. Suppose a balloon is there, the balloon is not blown up. You take the measurement of this balloon, let the measurement be 0.002 gram and blow air in the balloon blows up. Okay, now take the measurement of the weight of the balloon or mass of the balloon. Okay, you will find that it is, suppose maybe 0.0022 gram. So it is 0.0020 gram, it is 0.0022 gram. So if you subtract it, 0.0022 minus 0.0020, you will get 0.0002 grams. So this is the mass of the air. Why did the mass increase? Okay, so because the mass increased, because air particles are blown inside the balloon. Okay, so the kapra of the balloon that was there, from that the mass of the balloon increased. Because why? Because the reason is that the particles that are there, it has constituted to the extra mass. So that means it is understood that air has mass. And you can clearly see here that air occupies space also. So therefore air is a matter. In that way water is also a matter and everything is a matter. So matter is something which occupies space, has mass, can be felt by our senses and is made up of particles. Okay, so that is the thing. Ball ke matter, তুই matter না আমি matter, বল বল সবাই matter. তোর ওই বোতলটা matter, ওই যেটা কুসুমিকা matter, কুসুমিকার ব্যাগটা matter, অভিমান matter, অভিমান তুমি matter, কেন তুমি ম্যাটার কেন?
কেন কি আমি টাইনি সব লিভিং সব থিং ম্যাটার,
সব থিং ম্যাটার, লিভিং নন লিভিং সব। Mayank, what is a matter?
A matter that occupies space.
That occupy
Occupy
space and
mass.
has mass. Do you occupy space? Do you have mass? Your copy is matter. Your bag is matter. Jia, dust particles are matter. Dust particles are matter.
No, yes.
Yes. Air is a matter. Can you prove air is a matter? How? In this way. In the last day we have proved this way. Good. Okay, fine. So that is okay. So now let's begin our class. So matter is something which has mass, occupies space, and matter is made up of particles. Right? Now the particles of the matter, okay, so particles of matter. Now you see, there are some differences. Suppose for example, you know that matter can be physically classified into solids, liquids and gases, right? Now remember, the particles of solids are very closely packed. The particles of solids are very closely packed, very closely, tightly bound and packed. The particles of solids are very closely packed or bound, and this is the reason why they have a rigid structure. and this is the reason why they have a rigid structure. Are you getting my point? However, the particles are liquid and not so much closely packed but remain little bit apart from each other, and the particles of liquid are not so closely packed and remain little apart from each other. So that is also true. Okay, and this is the reason they have fluidity. They are not so rigid. They have fluidity. They have fluidity means they can flow. Okay, any liquid can flow. And particles of gases are far apart from each other. Far apart. Although particles of solid are very closely packed, particles of liquid are loosely packed or loosely bound, you can say. And particles of gases are not at all packed or bound. Are not the particles of gases are not at all packed or bound, and hence gases can flow even more than liquids, and hence gases have more fluid nature. Both liquids and gases are liquids. Both liquids and gases are fluids, and it has more fluid nature. And I can prove that. Suppose, for example, in a glass, you have taken a glass of water, and if you allow this glass to fall down and the glass of water to spill out, the water will flow. You know it. But on the other hand, suppose for example you have a balloon in which air is packed, and if you put a pin in the balloon, okay, then how fast the water flows? Much more faster the air flows out of the balloon, yes or no? That is because gases are much more fluid in nature. Got my point? So why is it so? Because solids are tightly bound, liquids are loosely bound, and gases are not at all bound only. Very, very loosely bound. Or you can say very, very loosely bound. Or you can say what? Very, very loosely bound. Now, sir, why is it so? Why solids particles are so tightly packed? Why liquids are loosely bound? And why it is so? Because remember, in every matter, the particles have intermolecular, or you can say intermolecular, or you can say interparticle force of attraction. Are you getting my point? In every matter, the particles have intermolecular or interparticle force of attraction. Now, suppose for example, there is one class 10. This is class 10. And there is one other class 9. So, class 9 boys have a cricket match against class 10 boys. Will you call it inter-class tournament? Yes or no? When the tournament is between school and school, you say inter-school tournament. So in the same way, when the force of attraction is between particle and particle, we call it interparticle force of attraction or intermolecular force of attraction. Are you getting my point? Is this understood? Clear? Now remember that in solids, the intermolecular, what do you think now? In which case the intermolecular force of attraction will be highest, and in which case the intermolecular force of attraction will be lowest? Remember, the force of attraction between one particle and another particle, they tend to pull each other towards themselves, and that is known as intermolecular force of attraction. So in which case the intermolecular force of attraction will be highest, and in which case the intermolecular force of attraction will be lowest? In solid it will be highest, in liquid it will be lowest, in gas in the gas it will be lowest, and in liquid it will be almost in liquid it will be medium. I'm so sorry. In liquid it will be medium. It will be highest, it will be lowest, and it will be in between them. Means I want to say that the intermolecular force of attraction is highest in the solids, if this is a solid particle, and they come close to each other and settle down. That's why all the particles are very close to each other and a rigid shape. In case of gases, the intermolecular force of attraction is almost non-existent or doesn't exist only, or very very less, and hence they tend to flow away from each other. This is the reason gas is expanding. Okay, I'll tell you. And in case of liquids, the intermolecular force of attraction is between in these two. Okay, more less than this but more than gas. Okay, and hence liquid is like this. So I hope that you have understood. Is this clear? There is another term that you need to understand, that is intermolecular distance. Intermolecular distance. Now what is intermolecular distance? Intermolecular distance is distance of one particle to the other particle. This distance of one particle to other particle, this distance is known as intermolecular distance or interparticle distance. Particle distance. So definitely if I notice the solid, in case of solid, if I judge the intermolecular force of attraction and intermolecular distance, okay, in case of solid the intermolecular force of attraction is highest, and as because the intermolecular force of attraction is highest, the particles will pull each other so highly that they will come close to each other, and they will get attached to each other. So intermolecular distance is negligible. Got my point? Negligible means almost not there. There, but almost not there. Okay. Then in case of liquid and in case of gas. In case of gas, the intermolecular force is negligible. Okay, intermolecular force is negligible, so intermolecular distance is very high. Okay, the one particle of the gas is far away from the another particle of the gas. And in case of liquid, the intermolecular force is medium and the intermolecular distance is also medium. Got my point? Is this understood? Very easy to understand. Remember one important thing, that the particles of matter are always in motion. The particles of matter are always in motion, may it be solid, liquid or gas. If it is solid, then the particles are very closely packed to each other, and each of the particles vibrate like this, in this way. Okay, vibrate. If it is a liquid, the particles have random motion, this side, that side, this side. And if it is a gas, the random motion is even more. Are you getting my point? So random motion is moving here and there. This type of random motion of moving here and there is known as Brownian motion. Is known as what? Brownian motion. So Brownian motion means random motion where the particles move here and there. So in which case the Brownian motion is more? In case of liquids or in case of gas? In case of gas, the Brownian motion is even more, very high. In case of liquids, the Brownian motion is not so high, but it is there. And in case of solids, the Brownian motion is not there, but motion of the particle is there. They vibrate about their mean position just like a pendulum vibrates. You've seen a pendulum? It vibrates like this, oscillates, gorin niche thake. ओके घड़ी वो बड़ा बड़ा वॉल क्लॉक के नीचे ऐसे पेंडुलम रहता है, कभी कभी ऐसे घूमता रहता है, तो वही. So not like exactly you imagine the pendulum, it just is like this. This is the particle, this is it does like that. All the particles are doing of the solid. But as because in liquid and gas the particles are quite considerably far apart from each other. Are you getting my point? That's why they have Brownian motion. Now you see that there must be a proof that there must be proof that there are, first thing, particles in matter, or matter is made up of particles. What is the proof that matter is made up of particles and there are infinite number of particles? Infinite number of particles means huge number, lots and lots and lots of numbers of particles, huge number of, infinite number of particles are there. Are you getting my point? So that is one thing. And second thing is the proof of that particles are in motion. Particles are in motion. So first thing is what? First thing is that the matter is made up of particles and the number of particles are infinite and the particles are in motion. So these two proofs has to be done. Now you see, suppose for example you take a glass of water, okay, or a beaker of water filled with water. Okay, when you take the beaker filled with water and in that glass of water you have just carefully dropped some chunk of ink, red ink, okay, and allow it to settle. Okay, just keep it. Slowly you will find that the ink is getting diffused, means it is getting spread in the entire water, and after some time what you will notice is that the entire water has turned red. Will you notice this or not? Now why this is happening? This is happening, this ink was made up of large number of tiny particles which must have spread. Yes or no? So it is proved that matter is made up of particles. Are you getting my point? Is this clear? Now how to prove? So I have proved that there are particles in the matter. Now how to prove? Now this can also be shown in a beautiful diagram like this. See, at first you have kept the chunk of the ink at one corner and it slowly gets spread and spreads like this. This only, if I argue that there are lots and lots and lots of particles here, okay, you can imagine it not as ink, but you can imagine it as a salt also, a salt known as potassium permanganate. Potassium permanganate is a pink colored salt. Pink colored salt. Okay, if you put the salt in one corner, same thing, and slowly, even without stirring also, the entire thing will get spread. It is like this. Suppose the salts or particles of the salts were solid and they were close to each other like this, but slowly what happened? They started spreading in the entire medium. So it is proved that matter is made up of particles. Is this understood? Now again, so that is proved. Now a similar example is, suppose for example you take a glass of water and you keep some sugar here and don't stir it, or even if you stir it also, it will just, the process will become fast. If you don't stir it, it will become, same thing will happen, the entire water will turn sweet after 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours. If you just stir it with a spoon, then the process of mixing will become fast. So why the entire water became sweet? Because the particles of the sugar must have gone and uniformly distributed in all directions. So we can understand that yes, matter is made up of particles. But how can we understand that they are made up of infinite number of particles? Now there is another thing, that they are made up of infinite number of particles, means there are large number of particles, uncountable number of particles in little bit of matter. Are you getting my point? Which constitutes the mass of the matter, that also you have learned. Now you see, what happens is, I will show you an experiment. Suppose, for example, you have mixed a little bit of maybe red ink or potassium permanganate, okay, in little bit of water in a test tube. Okay, you have mixed it. Now what you can see is, when you have stirred it or mix it, I don't care, it will become like this. It will become entirely red like this. Yes or no? Do you agree with me? Because the particles will spread. Now from here only I will prove that it is infinite number of particles. How? I am telling you. I will take another fresh water tube. Okay, here fresh water is there. And from here I will just pick very small amount, maybe 0.1 ml. Okay. And in that 0.1 ml, this liquid, suppose I have taken it in a dropper. Okay, and in that dropper, there will be little bit of this. Yes or no? This liquid has come from this liquid and this liquid, and you drop it here. Drop it in this water. Now what will happen? Water will also become red, but it will not become as red as the previous one. Yes or no? Do you agree with me? It will become little less red. Again, take from here in the dropper. Okay, this is a dropper. Take from here little bit liquid, which is little bit less red, and put this in a fresh tube of water again. Now when you do, this will also become, but this will become much more less red. Than that of the previous one. Yes or no? Do you agree with me? And this way, if you keep on continuing, once you will get that the redness will go, but you have to do lot of steps for that. But this proves that there are infinite number of particles. How will you tell you? Suppose there are particles here. All the particles got distributed. Now when you took little bit from here, you only took some little bit of particles, but that could make color the entire amount of water, same amount of water, couldn't it? So that means इतने में भी बहुत सारा particles था, और यहाँ से थोड़ा सा लिया, वो भी पूरे पानी को कलर कर दिया. थोड़ा कम किया, लेकिन किया. और सब केसेस में पूरा फैला होगा, इसमें भी पूरा फैला होगा, इसमें भी पूरा फैला होगा, तभी पूरा पानी कलर हुआ होगा. So it is proved that there are infinite number of particles. Is this understood? Now we have to understand that the particles are in motion. We have to prove that the particles are in motion. How to prove that the particles are in motion? There are lots of proof. How to prove that the particles are in motion? How can you prove that the particles are in motion? How to prove? Okay, is it possible to prove that the particles are in motion? Definitely it is possible to prove that the particles are in motion. Okay, how I am telling you? Suppose for example, you take a bucket of water and put some pollen grains in it, 1 or 2 or 3. Okay. Now you will notice the pollen grain are going here and there. You will think that the pollen grains are in motion. But if you hold the pollen grain in your hand, does it move here and there? No. Then why here it is moving? Now imagine a football field. Just keep a football in the football field and no players. Will the football move? Now imagine 22 ghosts are playing football. 22 ghosts are playing football. What will you notice? The football going from here to there, here to there, here to there, here to there, yes or no? Now just imagine that you are seeing a football match, original football match. All the players are running here and there and kicking the football, and that is the reason why you see football is moving. Now why the football is moving? Because the players are moving. In the same way, the particles of water which are there, they are moving here and there. And one particle of water strikes it, it goes this side, and the other particle strikes it, it goes this side. Other particle then strikes it. The pollen grain becomes the football, and the particles of water become the football players. Are you getting my point? So this proves the movement of the pollen grain, or the random motion or the Brownian motion of the pollen grain when it is put inside a water, and its random motion proves that the particles of water are in motion. So ये तो चला हुआ लिक्विड का बात, प्रूव हो गया कि they are in motion. Now another example is there. The example is diffusion का example. I will tell you, there is a gas known as NO2 gas or bromine gas, Br2 gas. These type of gases are brown in color. Okay. Now what happens is, suppose for example you have taken a tumbler, and on the tumbler you have taken the brown colored gas. Okay, the particles of the gas are here. Now on it you place another tumbler which is empty. Empty means what? Air is there. Yes or no? Now remove the separator. When you remove it, in the next diagram you will see that when you remove the separator, the entire, both the chambers became brown. That means the brown gas must have moved into this chamber. So it is proved that the particles are in motion. This phenomena, now air is also a matter. The bromine gas that you have taken is also a matter. When one gas enters inside another gas, or one substance enter inside another substance, that is known as diffusion. That's why I said that diffusion. This is an experiment of diffusion. What is diffusion? Diffusion in chemistry is the phenomena of entry of particles of one substance into another substance through the intermolecular space. If the intermolecular space is not there, then it couldn't move. What had happened is, एयर का पार्टिकल के बीच में भी स्पेस था, इसका पार्टिकल के बीच में भी स्पेस था, और स्पेस के अंदर अंदर घुस गया, जो इसके लिए भी ट्रू है. यहाँ पे ये फैल पाया, और फिर इस डायग्राम में भी देख सकते हो कि यहाँ पे ये फैला क्यों, क्योंकि इसके अंदर में इंटरमोलिकुलर स्पेस था, उस स्पेस के अंदर अंदर इसका पार्टिकल्स घुस गया. ये भी एक तरह का डिफ्यूशन ही है, बता सकते हो. अगर आप अगरबत्ती जला दोगे घर के एक कोने में, अगर आप अगरबत्ती जला दोगे घर के एक कोने में, घर के दूसरे कोने में अगर आप खड़े हो तो भी आपको खुशबू मिल जाएगी. क्यों? बिकॉज द स्मोक पार्टिकल्स एंटर्स इनसाइड द इंटरमोलिकुलर स्पेस ऑफ द air particles and reaches up to you, flows and reaches up to you. That's why you get the space. So इसका मतलब डिफ्यूशन होने के लिए या अच्छा डिफ्यूशन होने के लिए दो चीज़ इंपॉर्टेंट है. एक, द सब्सटेंस विच इज डिफ्यूजिंग इन मस्ट हैव रैंडम मोशन, yes or no, and the substance in which it is diffusing inside must have intermolecular space, yes or no. तो इस हिसाब से देखा जाए तो डिफ्यूशन ऑफ गैस इन गैस सबसे अच्छा होना चाहिए. अगर यहाँ पे एक वुडन ब्लॉक रख दूँ और यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा इंक रख दूँ तो थोड़ी ना वो घुस जाएगा. लेकिन हाँ, सॉलिड में डिफ्यूजन नहीं होता है ऐसा मत सोचो, सॉलिड में भी होता है. जैसे ब्लॉटिंग पेपर होता है ना, ब्लॉटिंग पेपर के अंदर ब्लॉटिंग पेपर रख दोगे तो यहाँ पे इंक रख दोगे तो डिफ्यूज़ करके घुस जाता है ना, तो वो भी होता है. तो सॉलिड डिफ्यूजन के बारे में डिटेल्स में मैं बाद में बताऊंगा, इस चैप्टर में लैटर पार्ट्स में है. तो अभी तो इतना तो प्रूव हो गया ना कि पार्टिकल्स आर इन मोशन, इतना तो मैंने प्रूफ कर दिया. तो मैंने क्या प्रूफ किया? पार्टिकल्स आर इन मोशन. सो व्हाट डू वी बेसिकली लर्न? द पार्टिकल्स ऑफ मैटर आर वेरी वेरी small. The particles of matter have spaces between them. The particles of matter are constantly, and the particles of matter attract. But this force of attraction is highest in solids. The particles of matter are constantly moving. In which case the constant movement is highest? The particles of matter have spaces between them. Who has highest space? Who has lowest space?
Solids.
The particles of matter are very very small. This is true for everyone. Is this understood? Clearly understood? Good.